What's good out there, Liquid Trucking? Welcome into episode 98 of the Liquid Trucking Podcast. We are getting ever so close to our big blowout for our 100th episode. Very excited about that. Lots of fun stuff coming up for it, so make sure you stay tuned. Don't forget to head on over to podcast.liquidtrucking.com for all of the information about the episodes. That is really important for today's episode because we are bringing on a couple of guests today that are going to give you a lot of information about a couple of really cool organizations that are both there to help you out and that you can also help out if you're interested. Today, we will be welcoming on a guest from Wreaths Across America, as well as the St. Christopher Truckers Fund. Both phenomenal organizations, both knee-deep in what they've got going on right now, especially Wreaths Across America, as we've got Wreaths Across America Day coming up on the 13th of December. So understand that the reason we would talk to a sort of Christmas-themed organization is because we wanted to get out in front of this with enough time for any drivers or any fleets or anybody else that might be listening that wanted to get involved to get involved. And one thing that you will hear during these interviews is that you are not too late. We've still got plenty of time here, so we're going to bring you those guests. But the reason I want to tell you to go and check the website for all the information is because both of these guests, Diane and Courtney, are going to be giving you websites and email addresses where you can reach out if you've got questions or you're trying to get involved. And I know that a lot of you guys listen to this while you're rolling down the road, okay? So we're going to make sure that all that information, all the pertinent stuff from both of the interviews today is in the description so you can access it once you're stopped over at podcast.liquidtrucking.com. It's a real cool episode here. Just hearing about a lot of times when you talk to people in organizations that help out large groups of people, it's more about, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing, look at how I'm helping these people. And it's more about the person putting in the work to help than it is the people that they're actually helping. This episode today will not be that. I can promise you. Both Courtney from Wreaths Across America and Diane from the St. Christopher Truckers Fund are going to tell us a lot about their organizations and the reason why they do what they do. And I think that you guys will really see sort of a peek behind the curtain here. You know, some people have jobs, some people have careers, and some people have something that they pour their life into. You're listening to somebody right now that kind of pours their life into what I do. You guys know all about me. You know about my good habits, my bad habits, my the positive things about my personality, the more negative things about my personality. I want you guys to know me, right? This is me. I'm pouring myself into it, and you can tell that these other two women that I've got on here today are pouring themselves into the charitable causes that they both work for, and I think it's a really cool thing. So, before we bring you those, just remember, one last time, I want to get this in your head because you're going to be listening to these and you're going to go, damn it, I want that email address. It's in the description. Promise you. If it's not, then you're going to get to blame it on somebody else because I sent it where it needed to be, okay? Actually, I better go double check that for a second. But anyway, let me bring you these interviews now. They are great. I really had a lot of fun talking to these two ladies, and wow, couldn't put better people in the positions that they currently hold. So first up, we will welcome in Courtney from Wreaths Across America. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the gold standard of podcasts for the gold standard of drivers. This is the Liquid Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
All right, welcome back into the Liquid Trucking Podcast. Very excited for our next guest joining us today. And before I introduce her, I'm actually going to read something from wreathsacrossamerica.org. It's right at the top of their website, and it's very poignant, and I just feel like it's a great way to start this interview, okay? It says here, our mission, remember the fallen, honor those who serve, teach the next generation the value of freedom. Our volunteers are the beating heart of the program and work year-round to share this important mission and inspire others to join. With that said, joining us today on the Liquid Trucking Podcast, please welcome Courtney George, Director of Transportation and Industry Relations for Wreaths Across America. Courtney, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to do your podcast.
Well, it's so exciting. Every time we start to work into the fourth quarter of a year, I start to think about Christmas because it's my favorite holiday. And a lot of times we don't start to touch on Christmas things until December rolls around. But this year we thought, hey, let's get in touch with Wreaths Across America because I know, like you said on the website, you guys are working year round. Let's get ahead of this a little bit so that by the time Christmas comes around, maybe we can already have told people what they need to know if they want to be involved.
Absolutely. Wreaths Across America is a year-round mission. You brought up our tagline to, remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. We are so much more than an organization that places sponsored wreaths on the headstones of our military the second or third Saturday in December, which, as a side note, is a date that's approved by Congress. So that date is one that's pretty set in stone. And so we work tirelessly year-round, right, because we have to fundraise for wreaths. I personally am the lady who is finding carriers to donate their services. So whether you're a carrier, whether you're an owner-operator, I'm working with you to find a lane and a load that's going to work for you. And then all of a sudden, this magic happens in about a 3-week period where all the wreaths are being picked up, getting delivered in all 50 states, plus Guam, Puerto Rico, Guantanamo Bay, U.S. Virgin Islands. We even put the wreaths for Alaska on a ship.
Wow. I had no idea. That's amazing. I mean, I knew the continental 48, obviously, but I didn't know the reach was that far outside.
It is. It's definitely something that's quite amazing. From me starting here 3 years ago to now, to think that this program has expanded by 1,000. We're already at over 5,200 locations for this upcoming season, which is just outstanding. What I love is seeing communities pick up this program and put it into their communities. And I think that says a lot. I mean, I'm not a parent, but if I was, I think that I would probably struggle if I had to inter my child just in general. But the thought of maybe putting them in a national cemetery hours away where it is sometimes can be cumbersome to go and visit, or interring them in my local community and having them where I can go and visit more frequently is part of what makes wreaths special. It touches the heart of a community. It also touches the people in the community because you don't know if they're a Gold Star family. You don't know what their story is. But every single volunteer that comes has a story, and it may be that they're volunteering for a loved one. It may be how patriotic they are. It may be because they remember, one of their friends in high school that went on to serve, and this is their way of giving back. And so for us, there's so much more that we do. I tell a lot of people that don't know, we do have a K through 12 curriculum that is written by a Gold Star mother. She got a knock on the door at 10 a.m. on Christmas Day with news that you never want to get, and has been able to take, that she's a retired teacher, passion for teaching and learning and continuing to share it with the, kids out there. I think that's huge.
It is. And I just in reading on the website there, I was reading down through the mission page, probably 2/3 of the way down if you want to look for it there. And it said that last year, about 1/3 of your volunteers were children. That number just blows my mind. How cool. And the fact that you've got this curriculum also designed to sort of pass this message down. There's a lot of great things that go on in this world that people come together and do, great missions, great charities, however you want to categorize them. But one great forgotten part of the community a lot of the times with these efforts is the children, right? We're talking about this as adults. We're talking about it among adults. We're talking about it for adults. But we don't stop to think that, hey, in 5 short years, these kids that are playing t-ball right now are going to be adults. They're going to be in the community at large and helping with these efforts. I think it's so cool that you guys are starting from the ground up and involving the children so much. Can you talk a little bit about that curriculum and what it's
Absolutely.
designed to teach?
This curriculum is designed truly to emphasize freedom and American history. To your point, when you said a third of our volunteers are children, they really are. And this sparks conversations within families, right? Instead of people being on, a gaming device or, using mom or dad's phone to entertain themselves, they're going out there. We've got so many, at all of these locations, there's a volunteer location coordinator. And there are so many people that are out there helping them. So, for example, at Long Island National Cemetery, there are over 14 different Medal of Honor recipients. And
Wow.
we encourage the children to go place the wreath on the Medal of Honor recipient. But it gives them a snippet of who the person was, why they were important. And I think sharing those stories, our curriculum, our K through 12, and, this is Latin Heritage Month or Spanish Heritage Month, and we just rolled out all of our lesson plans in Spanish as well. It teaches you about American history, about our history, and really just ties it in to remind people. And I think it's great for, yes, has the Library of Congress picked it up? Sure. But it is a great opportunity as a parent. I use it as an aunt to have a conversation with my nieces and nephews and to really spark. I really dive into conversations with them. And that's what I love about what Cindy has created with this Teach program, is that it creates a dialogue. And it's a dialogue that under any other normal circumstance you maybe wouldn't be having. And that goes back to teaching that next generation. Because to your point, the kids that are out there, what we don't think about is that in, 5 to 8 years, they may be the one, if we are, in some type of a conflict, that their number gets called. And so they value the freedom and understand why we're out there making the sacrifices that we're doing. I also credit a lot of our volunteers to bringing those who are interred, I'm going to make it say alive, right? We ask people to say their names when they place a wreath. And it's a very simple thing. It's often said that a person dies twice, once when they take their last breath, and the second time when they, when their name is spoken last. We want to remember every single one. And so we put into place, those things, and people are learning, and it's sparking a conversation. And that conversation is what I find so important. And truly think that that's how we learned. I remember sitting at the dinner table as a kid, and we sat there and talked. We didn't have any phones. We didn't have any iPads. I know I'm dating myself a lot there, but, it's one of those things where it's, hey, we're having a conversation as a family. What did you do today? Wreaths Across America is often used as a great opportunity for schools as fundraisers, but also, if you need hours for your confirmation or you need volunteer hours. So many of these schools require volunteer hours. And so that's something that, we can make happen, because they have wreath laying day and they turn around and the kids come out for wreath cleanup. And that's something that's really important too, because then we're having a twofold conversation, because the wreaths, for example, are being turned into energy. Sometimes they're undone and they go to fish hatcheries afterwards, or they feed goats. So a lot of people don't realize that, that balsam is so fresh that it goes to a goat, and all of a sudden you've got goat's milk soap or whatever the product is. So it opens conversations that are more than, yes, just about freedom, but also talking about renewable resources, how this is, affecting our environment, all of those things that it really truly brings out.
Absolutely. And something I think that gets forgotten in a lot of the conversations these days is that ultimate sacrifice that our veterans make. And it might not be at the forefront because we're not in a dire conflict right now where we're being inundated every day in the news with how many people have died from our side of the conflict. But that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened countless times in history and won't probably happen countless times in the future. And I feel like a lot of the times that conversation kind of gets passed over in, not only schools, but at dinner tables and in libraries. And when it's not right there in your face all the time, maybe it's not something that you think about as much and something that you stop to really educate people about. So again, just this curriculum, having these things in mind, to me makes such good sense. And I wonder real quick, Courtney, if you can tell us, we have a lot of parents that listen to this show. We have a lot of people from outside the Liquid Trucking podcast that listen to this program. So I want to make sure we get the information out there. Where can people find more information about this curriculum that we've been talking about so that maybe they can, take it to their school, take it to their group of friends, whatever the case may be?
Absolutely. It's super easy. All you have to go is to www.wreathsacrossamerica.org/teach. It is a free download. So it's used in homeschools. It's used in communities throughout, the country. Like I said, it's used with the Library of Congress has picked it up. We've had, so many different communities, organizations pick it up. We've even had people make special requests that Cindy has created these lesson plans about. And I truly think it's become, I'm going to call it a labor of love for her. She loves the challenge, and I get it. My mom is a retired teacher as well. So being able to still help and teach, huge. So www.wreathsacrossamerica.org/teach.
Go check that out for sure. Very accessible. In fact, while Courtney was talking about it, I just navigated to it and could have done it 3 times in the amount of time that she took to explain it. So very, very easy and user-friendly. wreathsacrossamerica.org/teach for that curriculum. I want to turn the conversation to you a little bit, Courtney. You told me you've been here with Wreaths Across America for 3 years now. What was it that got you involved? I know a lot of times something when people join missions like this, there's some type of big kind of tipping point that pushed them over the line to jump on board. Did you have one of those with Wreaths Across America yourself?
I would say absolutely. I had volunteered for the organization for 7 years prior to coming on full time. I spent 17 years in the truck world area. I helped out with some New York events for them, especially helping drivers get out to places like Long Island when they're not per se accustomed to doing that, and how to do it safely. So as a former director of recruiting and safety, that is always kind of at the key or the heart of what I do. I also came from a very patriotic family. My brother-in-law is active duty as we speak. And I think for me, I found a job that gives me a sense of pride of what I do. It gives me, so many opportunities to share this mission with others that I feel so passionate about. And I always attribute it back to, we were at an event, and we have a Gold Star mother. Her name is Emily Toro from the Bronx, who lost her son Isaac in Afghanistan. And she hit me with it, and it to this day will bring chills to me. And hopefully I get through it without crying, because 7 to 10 years later, it still gets me. When you watch a parent say, "Don't ask me how he died, ask me how he lived, and I'll tell you his story."
Wow.
And that hit me.
Hit me. I mean, you saying it hit me. That just is heavy and appropriate too, right?
It is heavy and appropriate, and it is so important because every single one of those people was someone who lived and had a great story. Isaac enrolled or enlisted because he was from the Bronx, because of 9/11, because it was personal for him. And Emily said, I had a vision that he wasn't going to come back. But, I hoped and prayed every day that he would. And, there are other Gold Star families that are like, I'd wish for, babies. I'd wish for, grandbabies. That's what I really wanted. And now my lot in life is different. This year, we've got our theme is to keep moving forward. And that in trucking to me says so much because no matter what we do, no matter what obstacle we occur or encounter in trucking, we always keep moving forward. And so that really resonates for me. And those were the last words and last command given by Joshua Byers after they had been hit by an IED, because the driver of his Humvee said, "What do I do?" And he said, "Keep moving forward." And so that is what this industry does. And that, to me, kind of ties it all in, is that I rely on the trucking industry and working with people in transportation to help make this happen. There is no other way. And I will tell you that you can coordinate the chaos of, more than 800 loads that all go out that are loaded and delivered within a 3-week time period with a live product, because every single one of those wreaths is a live product.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is something, that in trucking, you have these small little, we call them God winks, when you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I've had one of those days where I feel like I'm out of tools in my toolkit to solve problems, and then we just keep moving forward. And so you see those things and you hear those things, and when they approached me, I wasn't per se looking for a job, but I was like, this is something that's really meaningful to me. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps me in trucking, which I love, but it also gives me more of a purpose.
Absolutely. And how well aligned. I mean, coming from the trucking industry to work with Wreaths Across America just marries the goal so well. You know so much about it. Like you said, talking to truck drivers about getting in and out of Long Island safely and in a timely manner when they've never done it before. I talk to drivers all the time. I know about New York, Atlanta, all these places that they don't necessarily want to go, and how great that would be to have somebody that can just call you up and be like, hey, take a right here, take a left here, take a deep breath here, and you'll be
Yes.
where you need to be. So I think it's so cool that, that Wreaths Across America is pulling from the trucking industry, because it's people that understand, like you said, that mission in trucking, which kind of goes right along with the mission this year, the theme for Wreaths Across America, which is keep moving forward. It all just makes such a perfect match in my mind. And I want to ask here, because I know, like I said, I've got drivers and probably some fleet ownership or management listening right now, and they've probably been chewing on their bottom lip, yelling at their windshield, how can I help? How can I be involved? How can I get my fleet involved? So let's turn this part of the conversation in that direction. I know a lot of it's going to center around the website, but tell me, Courtney, if I'm a driver or I'm a fleet manager or owner, how should I go about getting involved at this stage, keeping in mind that we're a little bit late in the game as far as 2025 is concerned?
You are not too late. We are 79 days away right now. So the easiest way to get in touch with me, and I can help you out, is to email trucking@wreathsacrossamerica.org. I talk to people all day, every day, and especially as, for us, as we're in this planning phase, our days get longer. Don't be afraid to reach out when you can. I will tell people after about 11 o'clock at night, you don't want to talk to me. The coffee in my system has at that point run out. Or I am with my family at this point. But reach out. Don't be afraid that you can't participate. There is a way that everyone can participate. And so hauling a load is always going to be super important to me. That maybe you work for someone who supports the trucking industry that's listening. Maybe you aren't a driver, you don't own a truck or a trailer. Guess what? We offer 3 hot meals a day to all those drivers that come up to Maine and pick up a load. Maybe you make a donation. I hate to say it, that donation could be providing fruit or healthy snacks for drivers. It could be help getting, waters or drinks. A lot of these drivers are making a lot of a huge sacrifice, especially we all know how rates have been. And we are close to Christmas this year. National Wreaths Across America Day is December 13th. So I'm talking to people about making sure that your load is delivered by December 12th. That way the wreaths are there. So we're having those conversations. And so, to me, it's very important to provide those 3 meals to drivers when they come up. We're based out of a small town. There's only about 360 people in it. So we want to make sure that they have a great experience, that the driver's lounge is somewhere that they all love to go. I joked to this day, if I had the retention that I had now when I was a director of recruiting, or I had a driver's lounge that was as happy as the one that I have now, I probably would have been able to create my own business at that point.
Yeah.
But this is really where you see drivers walk in and people say, welcome to the family. You've got new people coming into the fold, and it gives them a feeling and a sense of pride. A lot of our volunteer location coordinators honor them and give them, a police escort in. Can you imagine what it's like to be escorted in, whether it's by the police, whether it's by the fire department, the Patriot Guard riders, something to that effect. The pride and the celebration that is given and surrounding that driver that's bringing probably the most important load that they're going to haul that year into a community. Those drivers, those people that are involved in it, they are celebrated like the heroes that they are. Yes, we're honoring our heroes that are interred, but our truck drivers and the trucking industry is the heartbeat of Wreaths Across America and is why we can do what we do. Last year, we placed 3.1 million wreaths. I'm hoping this year we'll be at about 3.2 million wreaths, which is huge.
That's amazing.
I ask people all the time, I'm like, I need one more load, or do you know somebody else who might be interested? And again, if you know somebody who's interested or you were interested, all you got to do is reach out to me at trucking@wreathsacrossamerica.org. My turnaround time's less than 24 hours. So reach out to us. Let us know. You can participate. You are not too late to participate. And there are ways that we can make it happen. I mean, I have a motorcycle. I call it a motorcycle trailer fleet even. I will load a horse trailer. And people laugh at that. And I'm like, but here's the thing.
You've done it.
The semi can't get into the cemetery. So we load this horse trailer that comes up, and I'm happy, and they are the nicest people. And, we just want to make sure everyone has a great experience.
Sure. Another thing that I think is so perfect here is in my travels doing podcasts for truck drivers, one thing that you realize is that the vast percentage of drivers out there that are veterans themselves, lots of drivers have come from armed services, one branch or another, or Coast Guard, or National Guard, you name it. And one thing that I find is that the respect and adulation for the armed services and veterans and just people that respect freedom and are fighting for freedom every day, it really runs kind of concurrent with the trucking industry. If something's going on in the veteran community, chances are it's touched the trucking community because of that. And I just wanted to check with you real quick, because I know the number's probably mind-boggling and you might not even have a number, but do you see a lot of turnout from veterans that want to keep serving in some way, shape, or
Yes.
form. You get a lot of veterans involved each year.
Absolutely. I would say close to half of our drivers, maybe more than half, are
Wow.
veterans.
That's amazing.
You know, it's interesting, and I'll take it back to when I was the director of recruiting. You know, my boss had tasked me, we had some turnover, and here I was looking at the numbers, and they were expecting me to come with, okay, you know, we sliced the data, you know, what can we do to make people want to stay? And the first thing I said was, I'm going to tell you the information that you aren't expecting me to hear, or expecting to hear from me, I should say. But our number one demographic is a veteran. And anybody can tout that they are a military-friendly hiring company. Anybody can say that. But the one thing that I love about veterans and respect about them is that they want you to show them how you're doing that. So, you know, for me, when I was at a carrier, I was like, hey, we need to get involved in Wreaths Across America. Let's make a competition. Let's make sure that we've got people who are in there, whether they're veterans, whether they're, you know, just somebody that is, you're going to find people that are super patriotic that maybe couldn't qualify to, you know, enlist or something. But that doesn't mean that they aren't super patriotic. And that's the best part about trucking, is that they love this country. They love our freedom. And they want to make sure that everyone feels the same way.
Well said there. How cool this is. Courtney, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today to talk about the mission behind Wreaths Across America and how drivers can get involved. I want to give you the same courtesy that we give everybody that comes on this podcast, and we just call it final thoughts. I like to give my interview guests the floor for anything that they might want to say, whether it be something that we left out, something we didn't get to. Maybe it's just a shout out to say hi to your family if they're listening. The floor is completely yours. Please, with your final thoughts before we let you go today.
So my final thoughts is always going to be thank you to the truck drivers out there. They do a job that very few people understand. A lot of people make comments, complain about drivers being out on the road, and what they don't get is that grocery store is empty within 3 days, as those drivers aren't out there. So number one, thank you. You are seen. You are heroes out on the road every day. You're away from your family. We know that. We see that. We see you. Also, thank you to our veterans. Thank you to the Gold Star families that are out there. Thank you to anyone that's involved in a VSO, a veteran service organization. Our veterans, our drivers, they're really the heart of this country. And if you need a reminder of how to be part of this country, those are the two people I'd recommend going to talk to.
Amen to that.
Every day for that. So, you know, most importantly, thank you for having me on. Thank you for taking time to learn about Wreaths Across America, what we do, how people can get involved. And if you know somebody who wants to haul a load, or you want to haul a load, or you just want to talk about it, not every load picks up in Maine. I have 9 cross docks. So know that you don't have to come all the way to Maine. A lot of people are like, I am not buying the New York hut permit. I get it. Don't be afraid or put a limitation on yourself before you have a conversation with me. Reach out, trucking@wreathsacrossamerica.org.
And we will make sure to get that email address in the description of this episode as well. So if you're listening to this while you're rolling down the road, once you get stopped, you will be able to find that. So don't worry about trying to pull over right now and get it written down. It will be in the description. Courtney George, Director of Transportation and Industry Relations for Wreaths Across America, thank you so much for your time today. What a fantastic organization that you're a part of, and I hope that the short amount of time you spent with us here today adds a couple more drops in that huge bucket of people helping out your awesome mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back into the Liquid Trucking Podcast. Another fantastic interview lined up for you guys here today. I'm rolling with them during this episode. Before I bring our next guest on, I would like to read something from truckersfund.org. This is right at the main page of truckersfund.org. It says, truckers are the backbone of the country. They are responsible for transporting 73% of the country's freight. The world relies on them to get medicine, food, raw materials, and other essentials. Without truckers, we wouldn't be able to receive our needs or go about our daily lives. They sacrifice their health and families to keep America moving. As a result, many experience injuries or illnesses that take them off the road. This is your opportunity to thank these highway heroes for their sacrifice. With that said, please welcome to the Liquid Trucking Podcast, Diane Hutsell. She's the Director of Philanthropy for the St. Christopher Truckers Fund. Diane, thank you so much for the time today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here as well. I've listened to quite a few of your podcasts. I enjoyed the one about, with that lovely handle that everyone has in their car. That one, I will tell you, did crack me up quite extensively. I learned a lot. So
That's great. That's great. You're going to turn my cheeks a little bit blushed here. I don't often have people from outside the organization that come on the show tell me that they've listened before. So that's amazing. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
I am full immersive. I've been with St. Christopher's for about 6 months now, done a lot of, over a quarter of a century of nonprofit. This is my first instance working in the trucking industry. I have never worked with or for a better group of people, so I am full-on immersive here. I've drank the Kool-Aid.
That's great. Well, we have two here on this podcast, very obviously, and let's talk about that. How did you come to find St. Christopher Truckers Fund and decide to become a part of the organization?
You just you get to a point in your career where you're either going to you're going to advance, you're going to challenge yourself, or you're going to make a lateral move. And anything that I did, just because I worked at a regional senior center, it would have been a lateral move where I worked. And so I had been looking for, over a year just to see kind of what struck my fancy, and came across St. Christopher's. And we did a small portion of something like what St. Christopher's does, but we did it with senior citizens. And when I went through and read the description and did the research on the life of a trucker, as I told them my first interview, when they do the obligatory question of, why do you want this job? I said, why would I not want this job? Every day I get to do amazing, wonderful things. I get to use my gift of gab, which my son says, you're perfect for this job, Mom. But I get to do good. I tell people, if I were an evil criminal, I'd be really good at it, but I choose to use my gift of writing pretty words for the greater good. So I evil genius for the greater good. So like I said, why would I not want to do this?
Right. And if you spend any time looking into the cross that truck drivers bear, you start to have a soft spot for them very quickly, because you understand that not only is it a really tough job and one that I could never do, but also they're away from their families all the time, and they're out there dealing with traffic, which is the one thing that you and I would probably love to never have to deal with again.
Yes.
That's their daily life. So I totally get that, like, hey, let me jump into that pool and help those people out, right?
Yeah, I am not we're based in Knoxville, Tennessee. We are national, so we cover all across, including Hawaii. And one day a week, I do have to go into the office. And so I drive in Knoxville. If there's anybody out there that's driven in Knoxville traffic, they know how awful it is. And to have to do that every day and have to deal with small cars and like people like me that are cutting across 5 lanes of traffic to try to get where they need to be, I am very careful now of okay, do I have that much clearance? Am I gonna, are they gonna have time to stop if they need to? So I pay very close attention to what they're doing on the road. It's a great eye opener to see what they do, and you kind of find all these connections of people that you didn't know. I mean, my dad had worked for Mack Truck 50 years ago when we lived in New York, and so I have that connection. But when I told one of my best friends from college days, so it's been a couple of years, but she said, you remember that time in college I almost had to drop out, because she said it was because, my dad was a truck driver and he had a heart attack, and we didn't know if I was going to be able to afford school, or if I was going to have to go get a job and help my mom and my sister. And she said if St. Christopher's had been there, it would have just taken so much weight off of her shoulders. And so, I mean, when you make your best friend cry over the new job you're getting, you've done something right. So, I get to know the truckers that we do help. but to actually know somebody and have been in their home and that we could have supported, it means the world to me. I have, like I said, never worked for a better industry, better group of people. It's rewarding at the end of the day.
I can see how, just by looking at some of the stats on the website here, which we'll get to. But really, I just want to jump in here with you, Diane, and talk about St. Christopher Truckers Fund's mission. Talk to me about what it is that the Truckers Fund will do for a driver that, say, has a heart attack and has to come off the road. Talk me through the process a little bit.
Yeah. So if you find yourself in financial need, and I mean, we've all been there, if you're not on the road, you're not making money. And a lot of the times, something that I've discovered is you've got that one, whether it's the mom or the dad, someone's staying home. So they're probably not really working. And so that truck driver is the one that's the main breadwinner for the family. So if you're off the road, you have nothing coming in. And then also, too, there are a lot of drivers that just don't have the insurance. They don't have that safety net. They don't have where, okay, I've got this $600 medical bill that's just popped up. How am I going to pay for that? And then how am I going to pay for my rent? So it's a lot of the wives that call, but they say they've heard about St. Christopher's. They've looked everywhere. There's no one else that's able to help them. And so they've come to us, and they think it's going to be this horrible, torturous jump through flaming hoops. There's paperwork, of course, to fill out, but a few simple questions. There's a screening process so that, you have to be on the road. And what we consider an over-the-road driver is 4 days or more. You do have to prove that you're in financial need, and we do require medical records that we actually then have a volunteer doctor who goes through and kind of picks those apart for us, because we're not doctors or anything like that. So it's a team group effort. And once you get qualified, you can get up to $2,250, I believe is what we're up to now, to help pay for your car insurance, your rent, your mortgage, your utilities. And I think there's one other that I might be forgetting. Car payments. All of those
Yes.
things that are big ticket items that, again, if you're paying a medical bill, how are you going to pay your mortgage? And there are so many testimonials, which is one of the favorite things when they come in. The staff all gets those at the same time of, I would have been homeless had you not helped us. We don't know where we would have been. Our utilities were about to be turned off. So we get a lot of that, and, we get to hear from them. And then one of the great perks of my job is I get to travel. 8 days in, I was in Louisville at Matt's. So I was a full just pusher in the deep end and got to meet a lot of the drivers that we helped. We were at the Iowa 80 Jamboree this summer too. That was so much fun. It was hot,
I bet.
but it was fun. You got 45,000 truck drivers and their families. And so you get to see these actual people that you get to help. And then, we always say, okay, you're back on the road, right? And so then when they say, yep, back on the road, I mean, it's wonderful. So like I said, there's some paperwork at the front end because, our people that fund us want to know where that funding is going and want to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. But once you get approved, we send a check, not directly to the applicant, but we will send it to the utility company. We'll send it to the mortgage company. We send it to the insurance, and you don't have to worry about it. And if you find after 30 days, you still need a little bit more help, you can apply again, and we'll do that for you again. So, and if we can't
That's
help
amazing.
you, we have resources, which they're all listed on our website as well, of where you can go that, okay, we can't do this. This isn't really our nut, but here's where you can get help. So we're full on, all in, love what we do, love supporting drivers.
Absolutely. And you can tell, I told you I was going to read off some stats here, and you can find these again. Truckersfund.org is the website. Definitely go there for all the information on all the things that we'll touch on today. But how about 4,128 truck drivers helped and over $5.2 million spent for drivers? That is amazing, Diane.
Yes. And our goal this year is driven to $1 million. We're trying to bring in $1 million this year.
Wow.
We're on that track. We have a lot of great supporters, a lot of people that are familiar, Travel Centers of America, you've got C.H. Robinson, Love's, Pilot. Transfix Logistics is doing a fantasy football league for us, which you can go
cool.
on, and their goal is to raise $10,000 for us. And last I looked, they were halfway there for us. So we have a lot of great corporate sponsors, but then we have individual people that donate to us. I've asked before, how did you hear about us? Why are you donating? And I had one response was, well, I'm a driver. I don't need you right now, and I hope I never have to need you. But if I do, I want you to still be there. We've had where he's a regular giver every month, like clockwork. On the 18th, it drops into our account. His son had a heart attack, and we were there to help him. So it's just phenomenal to be able to just help these tremendously diverse group of people all over the country, from Texas to Tennessee to Arkansas. If you're in the United States and you're on the road 4 days or more and you need financial assistance, definitely come to us.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to ask this question here as just sort of, let me call it an icebreaker for those of you that are listening to this right now and you're thinking, man, I could really, I've got this thing going on. I could really use some help. But maybe you're that type of person that doesn't like to ask for help, or that feels like they shouldn't ask for help. Like you're sitting there thinking, well, this is great, but there's somebody else that needs it more than me. Do you have a message to those people who are on the fence, thinking about it? Maybe they feel a little bit embarrassed. Any of those things that might prevent them from reaching out to look for help, Diane?
Yeah, as a person who's terrible about asking for help for myself, I'm shameless. I'll ask anybody, anywhere, anytime for funding for my drivers. And I do call them my drivers, all 3.5 million of you. But if you need that help, we're here not to help you get through that, to give you that bridge. We're not a handout. We're something of a hand up. Think about the people that love you, that want you healthy and want you back on the road, that you're trying to support, not just because of the wonderful, amazing job that they do for Americans all across the country. Everybody's got somebody that relies on them. And we work very hard to not make anyone feel like this should be an embarrassing experience for them. We might ask some awkward questions, but it's not us trying to be nosy. We're not, writing a great tabloid book or anything about anybody. We truly are here, and we want to be able to help them. So there's no attention brought to, oh my gosh, this person can't pay their mortgage, their kids are going to be on the street. There is absolutely none of that. It's just, what can we do to help you? Let's get you back on your feet. Let's get you focusing on getting healthy and staying healthy. So yeah.
I might add to that, too, that nothing that you have going on in your life is going to surprise the Truckers Fund. You guys have heard it all at this point, helping as many people as you've helped and sending out as much money as you have. There's not a scenario that you guys haven't been faced with at this point, so no reason to be embarrassed or to feel like you don't deserve this. I think if you're one of the people who has agreed to take on the sacrifice of leaving your family for weeks at a time, driving across the country with all of us crazy people in our own cars, fighting you every inch of the way, I think that right there means you deserve it. And everything else beyond that is just getting past that barrier of not wanting to ask for help. I get it. I know how it feels to be an independent person. I work from home, and if I don't have to bug anybody for the next 3 weeks about my job, that means things have been going wonderful. So I want to tell drivers out there, like, I understand how there might be a little bit of reticence in your mind here, but based on all the information that Diane has given us thus far, and we're only, 14 minutes in here, plus all the research I've done, there's no reason for that whatsoever. Let's just put the kibosh on it.
You hit it right on the nailhead. You guys deserve this. I mean, again, people that aren't in the industry, or just like me, you're brand new to the industry, to hear about the health issues. A truck driver lives on average 16 years less than you or I are going to do, sitting, in our homes, working from home. They're more prevalent to have heart disease, to have diabetes. You're not stopping off to get a salad when you're on the road. There's the great debate as to whether or not there's enough trucking places to park, or what's available. You have to deal with that. So when I'm on the highway and the interstate and I see trucks parked on the side of the road, I'm thinking, okay, there's no place for these guys to go to take a nap. I mean, they're living in this truck, and to be able to listen to them and what it's like to be life on the road, they deserve every bit that we can get. And that's where I'm happy to have my hand out and ask people for money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you, you're perfectly situated for the job that you have, because you need somebody that's shameless, like you said.
Yes.
And that's great. And I can tell that not only do you not care to ask, you are excited to go ask for money
Yeah.
for the from some of your partners out there.
Yeah,
I can tell.
I've always loved nonprofit work, but again, when you get to see the people that you help firsthand. I mean, I've done museums, I've done cultural tourism. That stuff's great. That stuff's wonderful. But these are real people that have lives and have families, and what they do affect us. We all remember life right when COVID hit, and nobody
Toilet
was
paper.
getting toilet
Yep.
paper. Yes.
Where was your toilet paper? You
Where
were
was your
buying it
toilet
online
paper?
for the first time ever.
Yes. And so, people were, oh my gosh, the truck drivers, the chain of, supply chain, yada, yada, yada. Well, skip ahead 5 years later, and people are back to, they're just truck drivers. I hear that a lot. They're just truck drivers, like they weren't even qualified to get a job at a fast food place. That is not the case whatsoever. I mean, it is, my brother-in-law drives. He has his Class A. To take the test, to be able to do that, to see him back up a big truck, I will fully admit I find a lot of satisfaction in watching YouTube videos of drivers backing their trucks up in these tiny little places.
Yep.
That's a skill set right there. So
It is.
so-
And to be able to not just tear your own eyebrows off in frustration when it doesn't go right is also
Yeah.
a skill set, right?
Yeah, so you're not just a driver. You are a skilled professional, that you are licensed, that you have to go through DOT screenings. I mean, you have to do the whole thing. So again, you're not just a driver. When we say you're the backbone of the country, that's not me just making up pretty words so that my job is easier. They really, truly are the backbone of the country. And I really hope that people kind of start to remember again what they do.
Yeah, I do too. I tell the drivers on this podcast all the time, I can't do what you do. And I don't know that many of them actually know this, but at one point in time, my boss wanted me to go and get a CDL so that I could just say that I had one and just kind of show it and say, look, I can do it. And I said, first of all, no, that's terrifying, because what if I fail? Then I'm never going to be able to talk to these people again. And I got to tell you, boss, I'm probably going to fail. Just let me do what I do here, which is talk. That's where that's my skill set.
That's our skill set. We're talkers.
Yes, exactly. We can serve other purposes. Don't put us behind the wheel, and definitely don't give us a CB radio. Okay. That is something that I am not qualified to have. But all jokes aside here, I'm noticing here at the website, once again, truckersfund.org, and we will put all this information in the description.
Great.
So it's available to you when you're not rolling down the road, so you can get to it once you're stopped if you're driving right now. But I clicked over on the Ways to Give tab, and I want to just talk about that with you a little bit. What are some ways, you mentioned drivers that just donate because maybe one day they might need the service. Maybe they donate out of the kindness of their hearts. What are some ways the drivers can get involved here and help St. Christopher Truckers Fund out?
I mean, we obviously the bread and butter of my life is making sure we have dollars come in. And so that driver that gives us $20 a month means as much, if not more, to then the corporation that gives me $100,000 a year, because it's what they give meaningfully. It's what, I've had drivers before that say I have to put a pause in my monthly donation because of A, B, C, or D. And when I can afford it again, we'll get back on schedule. And to me, that we are one of their priorities behind taking care of their families just means a tremendous amount. So you can give, but also too, we have a great group of drivers. Driving is not our skill set. So we actually have an advisory committee of over-the-road drivers that, we have monthly meetings and say, okay, what's coming up? What are challenges are you guys facing? What type of things can we come and help for you guys, so that not only we can help you if you're not healthy, but we like to say in sickness and in health, because we want to keep you healthy. So we have all of these wonderful extensive health programs, the Rigs Without Cigs, diabetes prevention, the healthy living. We offer vaccines, and you can have cancer screenings. Like, we want to keep you healthy and keep you on the road. Lindsay, who is our health and wellness coordinator, which we are working on funding right now to try to figure out a way to. She's a one-woman show. And so we're looking to expand what she does and bringing on some help with her. But she's like, I really hope I can put you out of business one day, Diane, where we're not having to write checks to help people keep their mortgage, that people are healthy and people are staying on the road. And so she's just as passionate about everything that we do with the health and wellness program part of it, keeping our drivers healthy. Everybody, we are small but mighty. I tell people our staff is.
Absolutely. And, we've spent quite a bit of time on this show trying to bring drivers resources to stay healthy out on the road. It's one of the biggest challenges that they face, might be the biggest challenge that they face, is just maintaining a good, healthy body out there on the road while you're doing the job that you're doing. And I'm reading here once again on your website, more than 70% of the approximately 3.5 million professional truck drivers in the United States suffer from health issues such as obesity, diabetes, sleep disorders, and cardiovascular diseases. That's like a big five right there, right?
Yeah.
We don't want any of those things for our truck drivers. And I love to hear that you're on that side of things, working towards a better future as well. Because yes, the St. Christopher Truckers Fund, if we were able to put you guys out of business because the drivers were so healthy, I'd drive all the way out to Knoxville to high five you myself from Eugene, Oregon.
I would love that.
I mean, what a cool way. And knowing that that's the mindset of the people working at St. Christopher Truckers Fund, saying that, look, it's not about just keeping the fund going and making sure, it's about making drivers healthier and solving these problems.
Well, I mean, that's how
I think that's great.
That's how we began, is Dave Nemo and Dr. John, as part of his practice, he would see drivers come through and see all these health challenges that he faced. And there was nothing out there. I don't really think there's anything out there like us 18 years later. And he said, we got to do something to stop, to help this, to make this not be a problem out here. And so that's kind of how we got started. Like I said, and Dave is still, I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and so he's still actively involved. And so, like I said, from small $5 weekly donations to guys that are, known across the country, people, once they see what we do, they're like, yeah, they get it. We need this. There's not very many organizations that are concerned with truckers' health that you can come to us and it won't cost you one thin dime. We get that a lot of, I need to apply for funds. Do I have to be a member? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? No, you just have to fill out the paperwork. It doesn't cost you anything to come get a vaccine from us. It doesn't cost you anything to be part of the diabetes prevention program. Everything that we offer is 100% free.
That's amazing. And take advantage of it if you need it, drivers. It's not every day that you've got somebody on this show saying, we offer all this stuff and it is free. So definitely head over to truckersfund.org to check out more information there. You sent me something here that I thought was really cool, because actually we just had a representative from Wreaths Across America on this very same show that you're going to be on. And I noticed here in some of the info that you sent me that SCF is an official partner of Wreaths Across America. Can you talk to me a little bit about that partnership?
We do. It's a great partnership. My executive director and I just had a conversation about how can we highlight that more, because they're so wonderful to partner with us. We get a small part of what is brought forward when somebody buys a wreath. St. Christopher's gets some of that funding. And so that's money right there that we're then able to flip. And it's such an easy sell. I mean, again, it's such a great cause. It's such a meaningful thing. And so, like I said, we're working on a plan so that we can promote that and let people know that these are the multiple different ways that you can support. You might do Wreaths Across America just in general, but knowing that what you're doing, a portion of those funds are going to go to St. Christopher's, they're like, okay, let's sign me up. I'm in for that.
Right. Double down at that point, right? I mean, that's so cool. Well, Again, we said this earlier, but obviously wreathsacrossamerica.org if you're interested in finding out more there. But how cool is that? You could help out both of the organizations that we had on today's episode by helping out one. That's pretty cool. I can't say enough good things about what you guys have going on here, Diane. Before I let you go, though, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're a busy lady, so you got to go out there and start getting some checks written for you. I know that's what's next up on the docket. So I like to offer everybody basically the floor before I let them go. We do a segment here with every interview guest that I've ever had, just called Final Thoughts, and I reserve this time for anything that we may have missed, anything that you might want to touch on again. Maybe you've got some family members listening you'd just like to give a shout out to. It is wide open for you to say anything that you would want to hear, Diane, for our Final Thoughts segment.
I would just like to put that out there again. I've drunk the Kool-Aid. I see what truckers do. Everyone on staff, from staff to board members, we see what you do. And so we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We just got finished with Truck Driver Appreciation Week. And while that's 1 week in September for most people, we are 365, 7 days a week. So you're phenomenal. But then, even if you think like you said, you don't deserve it, call us. If you're not sure if you qualify, call us, talk to us. We are not going to hang up on you. We're not going to blow you off. We're not going to brush you off. We're here for you guys. If you feel like you want to support, even if it's $5 a month, again, I'm going to treat you like my $100,000 a year donation. Everybody gives what they can, and we're all in this together. I think that's a lot of lacking in the world today. There's not a lot of love going on in the world today. I think we all need to stick together, and we all, need to just be part of a team and make everything better. I think if we all played nice in the same backyard, I think the world would just definitely be a lot better. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank all drivers. If anybody swings by the office and would like for me to do a ride around, I would love to experience life on the road. Maybe not a solid 4 or 5 days a week. Just, take me around downtown Knoxville. I would love to see what it's like to be in it. That's on my bucket list. I've been saying for the last 6 months since I've been in this position, I want to see what it's like. I want to, see what your life is like and see it from that high up in that big truck. So, kind of kidding, not really kidding. And
well, you heard her.
If you happen to see me, like I said, we are going to be at Ambest in Tampa this October. We're going to be at the ATA conference in San Francisco. We are usually always at Matt's in Louisville in the springtime. Come by and see me. Shoot us an email. My email is listed on the website. LinkedIn, Instagram, we're all the good socials and stuff. Obviously, I'm a talker. Talk to me. Tell me what you're looking for. Tell me what you need. I've been reaching out to all of the state trucking associations, and it's one of the few times where I'm not with my hand out, and that's how I start the conversation. I want you to tell me what we can do for you. What do we need to do to support your drivers? And so I've had some great meetings. So we're here for you guys 100% all the way. And if we are forgetting something, don't hesitate to let us know.
That's very well said, Diane. And I will tell you, I don't know how many of the, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people that are listening to this as we speak are holding a steering wheel as we speak. But my guess is it's probably like 75%, 80%. So drivers, you heard her. She wants to go for a ride. You know where to find her, Knoxville, Tennessee. You can go over to truckersfund.org for all the information about the St. Christopher Truckers Fund. Diane Hutsell, Director of Philanthropy for SCF. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been a fantastic interview. We've learned so much, and I hope that in the future we'll be able to bring you back on again and learn about all the other progress that you've made since we talked to you.
Well, again, I'm shameless. I'm just going to harass you until you put us on again, Marcus. So.
Perfect. Those are the kinds of guests I like. That makes my job easy, Diane. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Huge thanks going out to both Courtney and Diane for coming on the show today and talking to us about Wreaths Across America and the St. Christopher Truckers Fund. I gotta feel like you guys are going to be sprinting to the phones to get involved, sprinting to your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, whatever. Heading over to truckersfund.org or wreathsacrossamerica.org. There's so much good information there, not only about how you can get involved, how you can donate, how you can take a load if you would like to deliver a wreath. It's all there. But more so, there's so much good information about the people that they've helped, about the mission, about how they got started. It's a little bit of, it's like reading a company story, but instead of a company, it's a charitable organization. And look, it's all been kind of designed around truck drivers and offered to and for truck drivers. So there's a big reason that we spend so much time talking about it today. And I just want to take my hat off to both Wreaths Across America and St. Christopher's Truckers Fund. There's not really anything else I can say that's going to be profound. These are two amazing organizations, and they're out there doing everything they can to try to help truck drivers in one way, shape, or form or another, and veterans as well. We all know how big the veteran community is inside of the greater trucking industry. There's a lot of you guys out there, and Wreaths Across America really helping out, making sure that none of those stories get forgotten. And St. Christopher Truckers Fund there to catch you if you fall out of the truck, not literally, but more figuratively. If you go down with an illness, if something takes you or one of your family members out for a long time and you've got to come off the road, St. Christopher Truckers Fund can help out, and they're very serious about it, all right? $5.2 million given out to over 4,000 drivers. That's an amazing number. So I don't need to put any finer of a point on it here. You guys heard everything that we had to offer in the interviews. You know what the two organizations are about. Go do your thing. Help them out. Get involved. If you know somebody that maybe could benefit from being put in contact with St. Christopher Truckers Fund, do that. Whatever you do, just do it out of the kindness of your heart here after this episode, okay, drivers? Again, all of the information that you need is in the description. Truckersfund.org and wreathsacrossamerica.org are the websites. You're going to find a lot more information there. The email address that Courtney was giving out, which is trucking@wreathsacrossamerica.org, will also be in the description. Thank you all for listening today. We are out of time. I'm okay with it, though. We spent the time where it needed to be today. Next week, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming, and to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what that is at this point in time. So, joke's on you for thinking that I knew what was going on here today. It's been fun. Thanks for tuning in for episode 98. Don't forget to go check out podcast.liquidtrucking.com. Stay safe out there, drivers. Keep the shiny side up, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in and being the gold standard of drivers on the road. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and tune in next week for another episode of the Liquid Trucking Podcast.
Interested in finding out more about what it takes to bring a podcast like the Liquid Trucking Podcast to your fleet? Bulldog provides tailor-made top-to-bottom podcast production services. We'll meet your terminal staff, connect with your drivers, and bring you the content you want your drivers to hear. Type bulldog.works into your browser to connect with us and learn more about what we can do for your fleet. That's bulldog.works for podcasts, tenacious recruiting, and more.